Yo, what's up guys? You got PokeaimMD here with another competitive Pokemon Sun and Moon moveset analysis video discussion guide, how to use, whatever you want to call it. This time we're going to be talking about Passimian. Now, this Pokemon is a very odd, peculiar Pokemon. It's a cool ability in Receiver, which copies the ability of your teammate that faints. So let's say your Vikavolt went down, you would copy Levitate. But that's better in doubles. Thankfully, though, it has a decent hidden ability in Defiant. And Defiant's really cool because if your opponent defogs, for example, you will gain +2 attack. Now, it has really interesting stats. Base 80 speed, which is pretty slow on, I think, a fighting type, in my opinion. It's a little bit slow for a Pokemon that can learn U-turn, but it does have a solid base 120 attack, actually an amazing base 120 attack, 100 base HP, and decent 90 base Spadef. I would actually compare this Pokemon to Primeape. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot like Primeape. Primeape even gets Defiant as a hidden ability as well, though Primeape has higher speed, higher base Spadef, lower defense, and lower HP, but Primeape arguably has a better move pool since it does have access to Gunk Shot. But yeah, I would definitely compare this Pokemon to Primeape. Now, in any case, we have a few movesets here we could talk about. First off, we have Choice Scarf Passimian. Passimian does have access to U-turn, which is very, very viable on a Choice Scarf user, or on any user anyway. And it does have access to a strong close combat. So this moveset is Close Combat, Earthquake, U-turn, and Iron Head. Iron Head allows you to hit fairies for super effective damage, as well as hitting Pokemon like fairies such as Tapu Bulu, whereas Earthquake allows you to hit Pokemon like Aegislash, as well as Alolan Marowak, and Close Combat is your main stab, where U-turn just gains momentum on a Choice Scarf set. Now, I think you have to run Jolly on this thing. Passimian is very, very slow. If you don't run Jolly, it hits 259 speed, which is slower than most of the Tapus. Well, not most of the Tapus, but it's slower than a Pokemon like Tapu Koko, for example. Tapu Koko, if you don't run Jolly, you're slower by a couple points. I believe you hit 388 speed at Scarf, if I'm not mistaken, with Adamant Nature, whereas Jolly does outspeed that. So I think Jolly is the preferred nature. Actually, speaking of Tapu Koko, Passimian pairs very, very well with that, just because Passimian does lure in Pokemon like Marowak, which resisted stab, but can hit them with the Earthquake, and weakening an Alolan Marowak for Tapu Koko, always nice. Tapu Koko, Alolan Marowak is one of the few checks to Tapu Koko out there, so as it does have Lightning Rod, so it doesn't care about the electric attack, and obviously it naturally resists Fairy Stab. So Passimian pairs very well with that. Another option is Rock Slide over Iron Head. I typically like Iron Head better, just the option to hit Fairy types. I think Earthquake is very solid on it, not allowing Pokemon like Alolan Marowak, and as well as Aegislash obviously to come in for free. So the next one we have is the Choice Band, or the Life Orb Attacker. This is the exact same thing, but this time we are running Adamant just for that pure power. An Adamant Choice Band Close Combat is nothing to laugh at, as well as the fact that Earthquake is a 2-hit KO on Aegislash with a Choice Band, or even with a Life Orb. Now again, you can switch it up between Choice Band or Life Orb. It depends if you want to mix it up. I still think Iron Head is better, especially on a choice set. A Pokemon like Tapu Bulu, for example, won't appreciate coming in on a Choice Band, a U-turn, or a Choice Band Iron Head. Iron Head would be a 2-hit KO on that, whereas U-turn would do a decent amount of damage, though it does recover with grassy terrain. But the Choice Band set just takes advantage of the fact that it does have that raw base, amazing 120 attack, as well as a strong Close Combat to boot on top of that. And U-turn as well still keeps momentum. You can run Jolly if you don't want to, if you want to at least speed tie with Jolly Mamoswine, or you want to outspeed Adamant Gyarados and get off a U-turn before that, or maybe even run Rock Slide and be able to Rock Slide the Gyarados. But Choice Band or Life Orb Passimian hits incredibly hard. Defiant is still the main ability, just because Receiver isn't really an ability, but if you could bring this thing on like a weakened Tapu Fini, or Amanda Buzz, for example. If you bring a Choice Band Passimian on Amanda Buzz that went for defog, I'm pretty sure that Choice Band Adamant Close Combat at +2 knocks out Amanda Buzz. But yeah, basically Defiant is your main ability, and it's the main one that you can take advantage of. Receiver doesn't do anything in singles, so, or doesn't help you at all in singles. Life Orb can also be ran outside of Choice Band, but Life Orb is actually very nice because, especially if you get the Defiant boost, since you have the ability to switch up moves, whereas Choice Band would obviously lock you in. But if you can get the Defiant boost on Amanda Buzz and they hard switch into their Aegislash, you go for Close Combat, you can then hit them with a +2 Life Orb Earthquake, and that is going to hurt. That is that is definitely going to hurt. And there's a lot of defoggers running around. There's Tapu Fini, which you are faster than usually. Well, you are faster than. Well, there's Tapu Fini, there's Mandibuzz, there's Skarmory, obviously, and Skarmory likes to run Spadef because that lets it take on Tapu Fini as well as Tapu Lele better. So +2 Life Orb close combat is really, really going to hurt. Might even knock it out if you are adamant. So we do have a few other options because this Pokemon doesn't have too much to go with. Like I said, I did compare it to Primeape. Primeape has faster speed. It also has access to Vital Spirit, so it can't be put to sleep, as well as nice moves in Gunk Shot, so it can actually hit Pokemon like Tapu Fini for super effective as opposed to neutral Iron Head. But Darkinium Z, if you want to use a Dark Z move with Brutal Swing, if you want to break through Pokemon like Slowbro, Slowking, just Psychic types in general, that's always a solid option. You could also run the Flyinium Z with Acrobatics, which would allow you to get through Pokemon such as Buzzwole. You can hit them with a not flying gem, but a flying Z move and knock them out with that. Rock Slide is also an option. Again, this allows you to hit Pokemon like Gyarados or flying types in general. It's, I think, a weaker option than Iron Head. However, if you do run on the Choice Scarf set or the Choice Band set, it does give you 2 moves that you could potentially lock yourself into that would be able to hit Pokemon like Marowak. So again, pairing very well with Tapu Koko for a nice Volt Switch, Volt Turn combination, as well as being able to deal with the Pokemon that it deals with, or being able to deal with the Pokemon that Tapu Koko doesn't appreciate, being able to deal with the Pokemon that deals with. What the hell did I just say? And last but not least, Bulk Up is definitely an option. It does have a nice base 100 HP as well as 90 defense. So a sub bulk up set is definitely a decent option just because it can get one-on-one substitutes, so you can bulk up on a Pokemon going for Size and Toss. But the Pokemon going for Size and Toss, Chansey, Blissey, they're not staying in versus you anyway. So though you can run sub bulk up or bulk up in general with a Life Orb or 3 attacks bulk up, I think typically any other Mon can bulk up better than this thing. It has really poor base special defense, but it does boost its defense, which is already really decent, as well as its attack. So it is definitely a viable option. Sub bulk up, Earthquake, Close Combat. Close Combat might seem dumb, so you can run Brick Break, but Brick Break is so weak. But Close Combat might seem dumb just because it does lower your defenses, but at least it's not lowering your attack, so you still have that +1 attack. But a moveset like this can definitely be run, and it's really nice because Aegislash has to attack you in order to do damage to you. So you can run like sub bulk up, you can run a little bit more speed, maybe for defensive Rotom and whatnot. That way you could sub before it Will-O-Wisps you, something like this. Unfortunately, this Pokemon doesn't have that much to work with. I do like it though. I do love the way it looks. I wish it had Gunk Shot. That would be so cool. However, maybe this Pokemon can do better in VGC, and for that reason, I actually once again brought my buddy Wolfe Glick to talk a little bit about it. So I'll see you guys at the end of the video. Wolfe, take it away.
Thanks so much, Joey. Yeah, so when I was looking at Passimian for VGC, I actually struggled a lot to find sets that I thought could be really viable because Passimian has a lot of things working against it in that it has relatively low base special defense stat, and its base special defense is like very, very low, base 60, so like it's not going to survive very long. It's not incredibly fast despite being a monkey, which I don't really understand. Its ability receiver is really cool, but it requires kind of dedicated setup to make something really, really interesting work, and it actually doesn't even get that many moves. Like, even though this monkey has a melon on its head, it doesn't have access to like Poison Jab or Gunk Shot. And yeah, overall, just it has a lot working against it. But that being said, I think it actually does fill a rather unique role in the meta, and I think it can definitely like threaten some stuff with some of the things going for it. So like basically, the main thing that I see in favor of Passimian is the fact that it has really strong fighting type coverage, which at the moment we're not seeing a lot of, partially because fairies are really big, but also just because there's not a ton of really strong fighting types. And so I think what Passimian can do that is really, really unique and really cool is that with a choice band, it hits things rather hard. So as you guys can see here, I've lowered the speed stat down to 0 and made it as slow as possible because the idea here is because Passimian is so frail, it's not going to be outspeeding much and surviving. And so the idea is to run this Passimian with Trick Room. So maybe pairing it with a Rongaroo so you could use Double Monkey, or potentially another Trick Room Pokemon like Porygon 2, or maybe the best Pokemon of all time, Executor. Those are all solid options. The moveset here is pretty standard. Iron Head, Close Combat, and U-Turn are your main moves. U-Turn is if you want to just scout and switch out. Close Combat is your main stab move, and Iron Head is good because it's like what you need Choice Band in order to KO max HP, 4 defense, Tapu Lele 100% of the time, so that's why I have Iron Head on there. Feint is just for priority. Feint is not as good this year because of Psychic Terrain, but it definitely still has its roles, especially for picking up KOs and Sash Pokemon, especially out of Trick Room. So, yeah, Passimian is definitely an interesting Pokemon. The EVs, I wanted to maximize attack, and just because Passimian has such low base special defense, I invested more. I didn't just go max HP. I put some in special defense to try and increase its overall survivability from like spread or stray special attacks. 191 HP stat is not divisible by 16, so it means that it takes 1 less point from Sand and Hail, which actually is relevant this year. So that's what this Passimian set does. This set is Focus Sash, so it gives you access to Protect, and this one goes a little faster. You could go Jolly if you wanted. I personally think Adamant is better because you miss out a lot of power because Iron Head is not that strong, but the idea here is that with close combat, Passimian does a lot of damage to all the non-fairy Pokemon. So for example, I just ran a Calc versus Celesteela, and this Celesteela doesn't have a lot in defense, but I'm not sure how much people want to invest in defense. But basically, here's close combat. It's a guaranteed 2-hit KO on a Pokemon that's really bulky, Celesteela. So that just gives you a general idea of how much the damage, like how large the damage output is from this monkey. So fighting typing is really interesting in that it used to be a lot bigger in VGC back before there were fairies, and now that the Tapu Pokemon are so popular, like we're still waiting to see where fighting like type Pokemon will fit into this metagame. But overall, I think Passimian is really cool, and I think it's definitely underexplored, and its type coverage offers with Iron Head and its access to U-turn, I think give it some like a niche role. Definitely not the most standard role, but definitely a niche role somewhere. And Receiver is a cool ability. You can pair it with the weather Pokemon so that you reset your weather when you get KO'd. You could pair it with Moody Smeargle, which is interesting. You could pair it with a recovery ability such as Rain Dish or Dry Skin if you had Rain or one of those. You could pair it with Chlorophyll or something so you could get a sweeper. Like you could use Choice Band Passimian with like Torkoal with Lilligant with Oranguru, and you could use like Trick Room Torkoal mode, and you could use like slow Passimian for Trick Room sweeping, and then like also have Lilligant, and then when Lilligant gets KO'd, you can send in Passimian, get Receiver, and then now you have Chlorophyll Choice Band Monkey. So yeah, that's it. I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks to Joey for having me, and yeah, peace guys.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Go ahead and check out my buddy Wolfe. His link is down below, as well as follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Twitter to stay up to date. Twitch is great for when I stream. And subscribing also, you know, not only does it help my channel out alongside likes, but if you want to stay up to date and also, you know, see more competitive moveset analysis, I'm doing them on every single new Pokemon. They're going to be done. Every single new Pokemon, as well as showcases on them. So, hope you guys all enjoy. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe, do your thing. I'll check you guys out later. Goodbye, friends.